was grandma's way.
It is. You're right. It's the old way of doing things. It's the original way before there were debt products, right?
Exactly.
But the millennials get it. They've heard enough of it now, and they're starting to really take advantage of investing early, saving, not getting into debt. They're not taking on That's right. And it becomes less and less practical, so a lot of the pushback I get, you said not everybody's doing Dave Ramsey. So my folks are over 70. My dad is 73 this year. My mom is 71. If they were just getting into a mortgage this year, it would make no sense for them to try to get on a plan, having debt and getting out of debt and getting a home paid for, having no assets and no equity. That would just be a losing. That would be unrealistic.
Yes.
Right. So we definitely want to match the plan to the person.
Yes.
And you're right. I mean, the baby boomer generation is a demographic that's out there. I'm glad you touched on that because we really have three demographics at play. I think it's the baby boomers. Right. They're all making moves during this period. Right. Some are downsizing moves. Some are necessary moves. Some are just huge equity moves, right? Because they did pay their house off, right?
Yeah.
So they get to play a little bit, and so maybe you've got that demographic. But Gen Xers are coming in, and Gen Xers are responsible for a huge amount of income and a huge amount of economic shift because we've had decent jobs and we've had dual income households, and we've had influences like Dave Ramsey that have tried to get in and get more people pushing.
Sensible.
Moving more cash, right? Taking on less debt, paying for things, having more ownership in things. So, but it's both. What I've seen, in my circles is that you have those that do, whether it's Ramsey or just they're good, they're very disciplined with their finances. They've been able to own their assets, and so they've got large equity positions. And then you have the other side that says, well, I have all this income, so I can support all this debt, and I can leverage myself, and I can own all this stuff, right? And I'm holding up air quotes. I can own all this stuff, but you don't really own any of it, right? And so then they fall into the trap of maybe repossessing and bankruptcies and things like that. So there's both of that, and there's a healthy amount of it in that Gen X. Now we've got the millennials coming in, and they're responsible. And I think you're seeing this. So something we spoke about right before we started recording today was that Ramsey just released a real estate check-in or a real estate update recently that you had started watching, and I've watched a little bit of. And some of the numbers that he was quoting had to do with this millennial impact. And so millennials now represent a huge growth margin, a huge growth curve in the current shortage of homes. So millennials are setting up shop. They're moving out of their parents' homes. They're moving out into the world. They're wanting to buy houses, and there are no houses for them to buy. Right. And so that's where a lot of this new construction is coming from, because the other influence, the way I understand this, is that they don't want to buy an existing home. They want a new home.
Yes. Well, and that goes back to my point that the HGTV effect.
TV effect, right, exactly.
They'll buy a house that's not new.
As long as it's been
new.
fully renovated.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely, yep.
There's more picky ones than there are ones that, I have had a handful and just, y'all are just, they don't care.
Are they coming out into the market with unrealistic expectations? They just think every home is gorgeous? I mean, is that what's happening? Or...
I just think they have high expectations.
They just have high expectations.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have to tell my sellers that the buyers have high expectations. So,
this could be a good thing.
If you're saying to, like I've had a couple sellers say, well, we didn't want to paint because we know they're going to want to come in here and change the color.
Sure.
They'll give you bottom dollar.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, but they may still come in and paint after you've painted. But
you're still selling the vision.
You're selling the vision.
They walk in. They need to be just awestruck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean you have to do every single thing.
Right.
But honestly, clean.
Oh, sure.
Declutter.
Needs to smell good, look good.
Smell good, look good.
Yeah. Declutter. That's huge, right?
And
absolutely.
That's part of our society today.
Just acquire.
Just don't realize how much you're acquiring. That's a lot of I have had a lot of baby boomers. And then just under like the pilot I was talking about, like they couldn't believe how much stuff they've accumulated.
Sure.
And they're
and now because people are moving so much, I mean, I've talked to some clients who they're
collecting your relative stuff too.
So I've got some clients that I'm working with to help them again with their financial wellness program. And of course, you're in the real estate side of that, which is a huge category, right? If there's one thing that has an influence or an impact on your overall financial wellness, it's your investment or lack of investment in real estate, right?
Yes.
And that doesn't mean that everybody has to go out and have a bunch of rental properties.
No.
You could just have one primary home, but it will be in almost everybody's scenario the most expensive thing that you own, right? And so we want to get that one right.
Yes.
But because employers are moving people around, a lot of people, and I've met a few people and have a client that sells everything with their home, and they acquire as little as possible. They really don't have any kind of sentimental things, items, furniture pieces that they take with them. Everything's new and fresh when they go into a new home. They buy all new flatware. They buy all new dishes, right? And
most people can't afford
they buy
that.
houses.
Yeah.
Well, they're doing it. Their plan is that they do it by selling it, so they don't take it with them. Right. Is the idea. They don't give it away,
right?
But they'll sell their homes furnished. They'll sell everything they have on the different apps.
The lender does not take that.
The lender doesn't care. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, I mean, and that's like I was dealing with.
So they limit, what you're saying is they limit their their buyer selection by doing that.
They do.
Unless they can sell everything outside of the home.
I mean, most people don't want to sit on somebody else's couches.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's
so
fair.
It does, but if you're in an area that's having a lot of, like here in the Atlanta metro area where you have a lot of people moving in, that and could be transitional,
Sure.
There is a market for that, but that's definitely a niche market.
It's a niche market. Okay.
So.
And it could be a millennial effect too. Like we could see more of this as millennials keep moving and shifting around. Right. They don't have a lot of this sentimental stuff.
Jobs.
Right.
Like my generation,
Yep.
I'd say had more loyalty.
So I saw a vlog recently, and I forget who it was, but she was making the argument that job changes are now where it used to be what you just said. Job security some of that came from loyalty in your employer, right? Mm-hmm. And so longer tenure meant more opportunity, meant more income. And that seems to just not be the case, and hasn't been the case for a while. Yes. And I'm not saying this is necessarily my advice, but she made a very solid argument in this very short little 5-minute video that I saw, that now it's actually beneficial, and in some cases can get you a leg up if you've had several job changes in a very short amount of time, because people hiring are looking at that and actually seeing that as a benefit. This person is attractive because people are hiring them.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. And so now all of a sudden on a resume, having those changes is a good thing. Now, because of remote jobs, those people aren't having to move as much, but we don't know how long that's going to last. Right.
So we already see some major employers insisting that people come
bringing people back to the office.
Because there is some good.
There's value, and there's a huge amount of investment in office buildings. I mean, there's so much commercial real estate out there, right? And so we're not talking about that today, but that is another huge segment of the real estate market is commercial real estate. So not industrial real estate, which is where things are being built and manufactured, but commercial real estate where we have office buildings.
Yes.
I mean, companies are heavily invested in that segment of the market, and so they want those properties to be utilized.
Exactly.
Why would I own $100 million of real estate that's empty?
Exactly.
Right.
And you've seen that off and on in Atlanta. If you've been here long enough.
Oh yeah. And every area is experiencing this. This is not new news. No. We're not saying anything anybody doesn't know, but it definitely plays on. So we've got these 3 demographics, and I think they all kind of, so you've got, the baby boomers, the Gen Xers, and now the millennials that are putting a lot of pressure, I think, on that new construction.
Yes.
The baby boomers, Gen Xers are just kind of moving around and rearranging. But the millennials want those new homes.
And I was so impressed with a person that came and looked at one of my recent listings. I just in talking to their agent about them. I said, they're a millennial, and they have saved 20%.
Good for them. we're
on
seeing
a house that's over $400,000.
we're seeing more movement
awesome.
and more growth in this idea of living on cash, right? And
Yes.
so whether it's the Ramsey way or a different way, we're seeing a lot more movement.
It's your grandma's way.
It is.
Grandma's way.
You're right. It's the old way of doing things. It's the original way before there were debt products, right?
Exactly.
But the millennials get it. They've heard enough of it now, and they're starting to really take advantage of investing early, saving, not getting into debt. They're not taking on new student loans. I mean, student loans were looked at as an advantage for a long time, and now it's like a 4-letter word, right? Mm-hmm. You say the word student loan, that comes with a lot of negative connotation now. So students are not being blindsided by all of this debt just to go get an education.
And my son, we helped him do his undergrad, but once he went to do master's work, he's paid for that himself and did all that. He's now working on his doctorate, and he's paying, and he's
cash flowing that.
And he's cash flowing that.
Awesome.
And
my wife just finished her master's. We cash flowed that.
And it's just he's taking longer to do it.
Sure. But that's okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do we think we have to move faster? That's where a lot of this debt comes from, right?
Yes.
And a house can really get you in trouble. I need to buy this house right now, right? And now all of a sudden I've overextended myself. I've committed to more money than I'm ever going to have access to because I thought I had to, right?
Yeah. And sadly, people did miss out, on the very beginning of 2021. I had a precious young millennial couple. I sold their townhome, and then they got new. And they got a great deal. They got a great deal. They actually, theirs was timed well. They got top dollar for their home.
Nice.
And got a great price on their new freestanding, new construction home, and which is now probably worth 150 more now.
More than what they bought it for. Yep.
Yeah. And so
instant equity. I mean, they haven't even had to put any money into it yet.
They haven't, because it's gorgeous. And I thought, I wish I had bought one of those homes in there.
But
to have.
But on the flip side of that, great for the people that were able to take advantage of it. But don't sit around.
Window.
Right.
It was just,
so
it just happened.
Nobody planned that.
No, they didn't.
Things that happened during that time and people that benefited from it didn't plan.
No, there was no plan.
They just happened to fall into it at the right time. So for somebody today that doesn't have that opportunity, right? It's just one example, right?
I had one person out of I did nearly 30 transactions last year.
There you go.
Only one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
only one. So So don't sit around and not take action if there's an action that needs to be taken. If you're looking for a home, you've saved, you're ready, but you're unsure about the market. I think two things I'm going to say, and feel free to chime in here. But one is, don't feel like you missed your opportunity, and so now you're just doomed and stuck with whatever you have, whether it's renting or you're forced to live with your family forever, or you're in a home that doesn't really work, but you're too afraid, or you feel like you've missed the opportunity, or you feel like there's another opportunity coming that you need to wait for because you're probably going to miss that one too, right?
And that FOMO, fear of missing out, is huge for people. But for the buyers, I will have to say is that relax a little bit, because I think we're getting ready to see a little bit more come on the market.
A little bit of that pressure is going to be relieved.
It's not going to be over 1,000 homes on the market.
Right.
But
I think
we're already seeing from this winter, I say like January, February, where had 140 homes, and now we're at 340. I know that's a 200 home jump, but
double,
still, it's not a lot, but it's
not where we need to be, but we're moving in the right direction.
Yes.
And I think one of the things, we haven't mentioned it yet during recording, but we talked about it before we started, is lumber prices are back kind of where they're supposed to be.
Helping the builders.
And supply, not just the price, but the supply. So supply chains are starting to get full again. Things are sort of kind of getting back to normal.
Well, and that's all due to, I think, some of the interest rate hikes. That makes people step back on their buying, which makes them wait a little longer, which makes the home sit on the market a little longer. Like, people are panicking. Their house has been on the market 14 days, and they're like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? It's okay.
The last house I sold, I think it sold in 42 days, and I felt like that was quick.
Yeah, and it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is quick.
Yeah.
That's normal.
Yeah.
I mean, mainly because people's loans, if they're getting a loan,
it takes a little bit of time.
It takes usually 30 days.
Yep.
But what we're seeing right now with buyers who have good lenders, the lenders are going ahead and getting them approved. So once they find the property, it's called pre-approval. And that gets thrown around a lot. I want your pre-approval letter. Most pre-approval letters are not pre-approved. They're pre-qualified. I have lenders that will go ahead and do underwriting.
So a pre-approval letter is like, we're funded.
We've looked at your W-2s.
Yep.
We verified your income. We've seen your pay stubs. We know they're good for this loan. And
so if you're somebody going to get pre-approved, make sure you're getting pre-approved, not pre-qualified, because that will make a difference when you go to buy.
Yeah, because it's definitely for my buyers, when I come and say they have already been through part of the underwriting process and had everything verified.
Means quicker closing too, right?
Yes, yeah. So even like on these loans like FHA, I've seen 15-day closes on those because the people were pre-approved.
And is there any loan out there? So I always tell people 15-year loans, right?
Ideal.
Conventional, 20% down minimum, 25 if you can do it, 15 if you're first time, or 10% if you can scrape it together, but have a down payment, right?
Definitely.
Is there a more attractive, other than just here's cash on the table, is there a better, more attractive option out there?
Well, I think for veterans, the VA loan is a great option, mainly because they can finance 100%, but some of my VA people that I've had buying this year, actually, I was selling their home and they were buying. And so they were getting equity on the home and they put some of that down. So just because you can get 100% on the VA
doesn't mean you have
to.
That's right.
And
it comes at a cost, right? So if I do 100%, I'm now...
VA.
Well, but it does, because there's interest attached to that extra balance, right? So if I'm financing 100%,
they don't have the
even at 1%,
insurance. They don't have the
PMI.
They don't have any of the PMI mortgage insurance.
But I'm still paying payments on a higher balance, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So over time, that 30 years, 15 years, if you can do it still costs more.
It does. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
And that would be true. I don't want anybody to misunderstand. That would be true whether it's VA or FHA or conventional. It doesn't matter. The more you borrow, the more it costs, even at the same rate.
And we're seeing there's a lot of conventional products out there that, conventional loans don't have as many issues and requirements like VA and FHA. Since they're government-backed loans, the government requires that the houses be in certain conditions and things of that nature. But like I said, I've sold homes that, were really old and had an FHA loan and they passed their appraisal process and then no repairs were requested. So, that can make people nervous, especially sellers. I mean, when you get multiple offers on a home, when I'm representing my sellers, cash is king. Mm-hmm. But if your cash is lowball and the conventional loan came in much higher, we don't care where the cash comes from.
That's the option. That's right. Yeah.
Do you want the most money?
Yep.
So that's what they're looking for. But we will say, obviously cash is king, but that's not always the best option, and conventional is not always the best option.
Right.
It's what's going to net you the most money, and you look at a variety of the terms of the agreement.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. What is that buyer asking for?
Yeah. Yeah. So anyhow, and that's where, I think one of the questions we had talked about or I'd seen earlier was like, what is my advice? What does somebody need to do? You need a realtor, a real estate agent. I'm a realtor. Realtors and not all real estate agents are realtors. Right. Realtors are held to a code of ethics that we have to follow, a set of standards which I think, at least in my case, and I think with most of us, we would hold to those standards naturally anyway, but we are held to those standards. And
but good distinction, because I gave the example earlier that I had dealt with a realtor that I really didn't like, and we didn't end up using them for that transaction.
Yes. Yeah.
And my wife and I had the same response, and actually my wife is much more tuned to somebody's, I guess it's their personality,
that sixth sense.
It's that sixth sense. It is, and she just said something, and then in our next meeting, I paid a little bit more attention, and I said, you know what, you're right. Yeah. We need to find somebody else. So So ask around, right? Find somebody, for somebody here.
Call me.
Yes. I was just going to say, if you're in the Coweta County area or you're relocating to the Coweta County area.
And I do Fayetteville and surrounding counties too.
Contact information will be in the show notes.
Yes.
So just look there. Amy Patterson with the Amy Patterson team, who is represented by the Southern Real Estate Connections group. And so, yes, you can find all that there. Information will be in the show notes. As a client of yours,
So
in a recent history, Amy does a fantastic job and really represents her clients first,
yes.
right? And you've said some things today. I mean, just recapping, you've said, I don't want my client to overextend themselves.
I don't.
How many realtors would say that?
Yeah.
I've been in conversations with realtors that say, you can afford more. No offense to you. You've never said that to me, but who is a realtor to tell me how much of my money I'm going to spend, right? So that's not the relationship that I want to have with my realtor, and it's not the relationship that I would encourage anybody to go into. Because
you want your house to be a blessing.
Absolutely.
And going back to the house being a blessing and being an asset you were hitting on a minute ago, it is the best way to increase generational wealth.
Generational wealth.
Not
yes.
the lottery, not all these.
Ooh, I have some fun statistics coming. So lottery winners.
Yeah.
Within 18 months are broke again.
Yeah.
Over 80% of them declare bankruptcy within 5 years of winning the lottery. Mm-hmm. That is not how we get wealthy.
And stuff can't make us happy. Even a home can't make us happy.
Nope. And neither can money.
Money can't make us happy. Homes can't make us happy. But there are some positives with owning a home and knowing that there's a responsibility to owning a home. A lot of people don't realize that either. There's a lot of responsibility in owning a home. There's a lot of upkeep that you have to do to maintain the home. I
call that TCO, total cost of ownership.
Yes.
So I refer to that a lot, right? So yes, you can afford the home today. But can you afford to live there for 10 years?
Yes.
What kind of other fees and maintenance and upkeep and work and investing is going to happen that might actually take you out of the running, take that home out of consideration? Maybe the landscaping is just too much, right? And there's going to be this cost. Maybe there's other fees, dues, taxes, other costs that you aren't considering that are beyond just the price tag, right? So really knowing, and I say this all the time, go in eyes wide open, be fully informed, make good decisions, do your homework. Utilities, absolutely. Yeah. A bigger home is going to cost more to heat and cool. Yeah. And that's just one example.
Oh yeah. This house, when we moved from Florida here, and I have like 1,400 more square feet.
Right.
But I bought this house for the same price I sold my house for in Florida.
There you go.
A smaller home. So it was financially, it was a
net zero transaction.
Yeah, it was.
Yep. But TCO, right? Cost of ownership went up a little bit.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
And now we've got
higher ceilings, more square footage. Yeah. There's more air here, right?
Now I've got really good efficient air conditioning and furnaces.
But that was a cost.
Yeah.
You had to upgrade those.
We did.
I'm looking at that right now. I've got 2 units that I need to replace.
And I've got actual windows to replace on the front because
which can make a huge difference.
Yeah. And so I've got to, but I'm not because I want to. It's because I'm having to.
You need to.
I had rainwater coming.
Oh, you've got leaks. Okay. But even newer windows can be more efficient,
15 years.
Especially on a southern facing wall where you've got a lot of sun coming in, right?
And it's not all of them that need it, but
right.
Unfortunately, it's my front section.
But these are things that come along with home ownership.
Yeah,
so
it's 15 years old.
To your point, it should be a blessing, and if done right, it will be. If it's done wrong, though, you said stuff can't make us happy. You're right, absolutely not. But you know what it can do?
It gives you some security.
It can rob our happiness.
It can rob our happiness.
Right? If we do this wrong, it can steal happiness.
Yes.
And it can become this thing that you just can't get away from. And it could be the beginning of a domino effect that sends you into what feels like a debt spiral.
And I've seen people who are not content. Mm-hmm. And, I'm obviously content. I'm content with old stuff. You're sitting around this really old table and old stuff. But not everything in the house is old. But I've tried to learn that sense of contentment.
Sure.
I don't have to have the latest and greatest of everything.
Yep.
And
if there's one thing I know for sure, there's always going to be something new.
There is. I mean, and as soon as you buy that new home, that new car, whatever,
it's already old.
Oh, listen, it's already old.
Yep.
And God in His humor, when I bought a new car, a brand new car once, the day I got it into my garage and lifted up the hatch, it was my van, I scratched the entire
put a scratch on it.
Hood, not hood, but the hatch. I thought, okay, there you go. It's really used now.
It's really used. A used car now. That's right.
We kept it till it ran to the ground. But
family running joke. So my mom has owned 3 new cars, and then there's been a handful of used cars over the years. And the only cars that she's ever damaged were the 3 new cars, and in the same way. So the day of, and then 2 the day after the purchase. On the passenger side, she hit the mailbox with the rearview mirror.
Oh, no.
Trying to pull over so that whoever, myself or one of my sisters sitting in the passenger side, or maybe my dad, could reach over and get the mail out of the mailbox. She pulled in and knocked the mirror off the car.
Oh, no.
1 the day of, and the other 2 the day after purchasing the new vehicle. And we say the same thing, God in His humility, right?
Yes.
So maybe, right? We all know that new cars lose their value the second you sign for them, right? And it's never a good investment just because you can afford it.
Investment.
That's right.
Yeah.
Some can't. I mean, collector, antique. That's a whole different deal. Yeah. But yeah, new cars, we buy them because we want to.
Yes.
Not because we need them, and you will always find a better deal in a used car. Now, some people are afraid, and this is not the topic for today, but I think it kind of applies to houses too. You know, the millennial generation, we said, is wanting new homes. That's not a bad thing.
No.
But don't let yourself fall into the trap that you have to have this new thing or you have to have this specific thing. Establish a set of criteria and buy what fits the criteria, right?
And a lot of that, like this 1970 home I told you about, it's small, but the bones were so good.
This is well built, yeah.
Yeah, they don't really build them.
And honestly, I mean, you've now lived in a larger home. We live in a larger home. If I could move into a smaller home right now and get everything to work, meaning our life, right? So because I do this, in our current home, it's not a must-have, but I do have a dedicated studio space where I record and I produce and I invite people in, and we utilize that space that way. It is a dedicated space. Could I set up a temporary space in a smaller home? Absolutely. Yeah. I have a home that I can do that in. It would not be a prerequisite for a current home purchase if we were going to make one, but the home we have has that available. We also have 2 dedicated offices because both my wife and I work from home. And so in addition to the studio space, I have an office and my wife has an office. We only have the one son, and our home is grossly oversized for what we are as a family unit. But my wife plays piano, and so we have a room where there is a dedicated space for a piano. You have a piano, right? And so, we have these things, right? Do we have to have them? We don't. Absolutely not. Could we downsize? Could we live in a smaller space? Absolutely. And I was just about to say, if I could move, now knowing what I know, into a smaller home with a smaller lot that was more efficient, a 1970s home that was built well, insulated well, had no leaks, no cracks, no gaps. I mean, first time in my life I've ever had squirrels in the attic. Right? And so I've never lived in a home that had openings in it that squirrels could get through before, and so that was something we had to deal with, and that was a cost, right? Insulation.
Yes.
This home requires more insulation, and insulation doesn't last forever.
No, it doesn't.
So we're now,
squirrels like it.
And squirrels do like it. They will make a mess of it, right? So we're now re-insulating. We mentioned the HVAC units. You've already upgraded. One of the 3 air conditioning units in our home has been replaced. The 2 other original units now need to be replaced. So there's all these costs that go with it. And if I could downsize, I mean, talk about a blessing. I mean, downsizing would be, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would do it in a heartbeat. Less to clean, less to heat and cool, less to take care of. We're going to need a new roof in the next 5-10 years, right? So larger home.
Thank you for windstorm.
There you go. Yeah. So you had an insurance claim, paid your deductible.
And I've got a 50-year roof, so that's really why we're staying here. Because the roof's going to last longer than us.
Well, in a roof, people don't really understand costs unless you've had to do it. And I was surprised, even being a builder in the past, how much prices of especially any kind of asphalt petroleum-based product had gone up.
Oh, yeah.
So asphalt shingles are about 35% higher than they've been just in the last 24 months. Now that's probably going to return to normal. Lumber prices are certainly getting better, but this isn't based on supply. This is based on just the cost of oil, right?
Yes.
Which you could argue is another supply issue, but it's different, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, a roof on our home would cost in excess of $20,000. So
mine was, just to perspective, was 15.
There you go, $15,000. But if you could do it under an insurance claim,
And it was. And
right, then you pay your, but even a high deductible, pay your high deductible, and I encourage that too. High deductibles, absolutely, because how many times are you going to do it, right?
Yeah, once. I've only done it once in
There
2
you go,
years.
exactly. And so your monthly cost or your annual cost is down because of your high deductible.
Although
So you
they're
get
going
to
up in mine because power
Sure.
values have gone up.
Absolutely.
My insurance amount has gone up.
Yeah, and I think we could probably spend another hour talking
I know.
about that.
Yeah, that's another talk show.
Yeah, I think so. We've touched on a lot of good things. I don't want to cut this off early, but anything else that we want to cover, in this maybe one or two episodes that we're going to get out of this?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think we've hit the high points on that.
So I just want to thank you, for being willing to do
I'd
this.
love to do it again if you have another topic that comes to mind.
And I will take you up on that.